Hello everybody, this is Roger with Roger's Reviews, and we're going to be talking about Ditch Witch today. And we're going to be talking about if you should invest in a skid steer, and if you do invest in a skid steer, what size to get and who to buy it from. I'm kind of biased because I've tried them all. I started off with a Toro Dingo, had 2 or 3 of those, kind of outgrew them, and then I tried out the Ramrod, and the problem with Ramrods, I don't even know if they make them anymore, but they're chain driven, and once the chain breaks, you're stuck in the water. So we actually had to pull up the machine, work on it all night, try to find the right chains, links and stuff, new chain to get it to run, and it was brand new. We were pulling it with another skid steer, taking a log out, and I turned, and it stopped turning. So the chain broke. We found out later on it was really hard to get to. Luckily, one of my guys had really small hands and he was agile and a mechanic, and we were able to get the thing back up and running. We ended up losing a half day. The other guys were out working while we were trying to fix the machine. So definitely do not recommend the Ramrod unless you can get that thing for free. Even then, it's just be careful when you're turning. Don't put it on a bind, it'll break the chain, and keep chains with you. It's like a big motorcycle chain. Bobcats, a lot of guys have Bobcats, and that's like the first thing. And I used to have these little mini skid steers. I was the first one to start using the Toro Dingos. If you do have a small mini skid steer, you want to make sure, especially a Toro, you have a platform to stand on and you have a grapple bucket. If you don't have a grapple bucket, nothing to stand on, they're almost worthless. But first time I looked at one, I didn't even want one because I took it on a job site, picked up a small log, and it tipped over. And I had no way to grab it. So I had to cut it small enough to be in the bucket. And then once I put it in the bucket and picked it up, it tipped over. But we were able to put something to stand on, a platform, and a grapple bucket. It changed the whole machine. It was like night and day difference. So why buy a mini skid steer? Well, right now, Ditch Witch, if they still have the deal, it's 0% down and 0% interest, which is an awesome deal. When I first bought my skid steer, my credit wasn't the greatest, and ended up paying $5,000 down, and I had to pay like 4 or 5% interest. So right now is a really good time if you got good credit, or you can get that 0% down. And right now it's normally 24 months, but they're giving me 48 months. So Ditch Witch, they're really close to me. I can practically drive my machine through my backyard and through the backyard and have it serviced. So that's another reason I use Ditch Witch. They're very close, and also too, their machines are low maintenance. They don't have any grease fittings. Everything's like greases. It's locked in, so you don't even. Most people don't even grease their stuff anyway. The only thing we have to really grease is the attachments, and when the tracks fall off, we have to grease that. But other than that, just keeping your maintenance up, like you're changing your oil, keeping your hydraulic fluid topped off, and keeping your diesel topped up. And other than that, keeping the machine clean, keeping your filters changed, air filters, blow it out the radiator. Other than that, there's very low maintenance to these machines. And I would recommend that you basically try to maintenance your machines yourself, because it's like $75 an hour. And most of these $75 to $100 an hour to maintenance machines. So if you can find somebody to come to your shop, or your guys can do the maintenance, it's going to save you $75 to $100 an hour. We live right close to Napa, and most of the parts that they use at Ditch Witch, they get from Napa. So we can go to Napa too and get discounts on our filters too, and we can change our own oil, and we can change our own filters. So, and we also can buy our oil cheaper than they can, because I found a distributor that sells hydraulic oil, bar oil, chain oil, all our oils we get at discounts too. So we actually buy our oil and stuff cheaper than they can. A lot of guys are talking to me, and they're like, man, you've had that same skid steer for all these years. Why don't you upgrade and get the 1550? Why don't you upgrade and get the 3000? Simple. They're too big. The Toro Dingo I had was 36 inches. The one I have now is 42. It's just barely small enough to fit through gates. Sometimes we can't fit them through gates. Like once or twice a year, we'll actually have to hand drag stuff. So if you're a tree guy and you have a Bobcat, do not get anything bigger than the 800. If you get a 1550 or you get the 3000, you're gonna have to take fence panels down. You're not gonna be able to get through gates. Some of these older homes that we work on, they're chain link. You can't take the fence down and you have to squeeze in there. What's nice about the 42, there's rubber on the sides and you can actually bend that rubber a little bit when you squeeze in. And if you get really desperate and you know a job's coming, the 800, you can flip around the brackets, the steel, what do you call it? Anyway, you can flip it over, get smaller tracks, and you can make that a 36-inch machine. And I did that on one machine. I had one 36-inch machine and one 42, and we never used the 36, and the tracks wore out a little bit faster, so we ended up just going with 42 on both. But actually the sprockets, if you really want to and you work in small yards all the time, flip the sprockets around, buy a smaller track and make that a 36-inch. So because you can buy a 600, SK600, they're a little bit smaller, they're 36 inches and they'll fit through small gates, but they're almost the same price as the 800. You only save it like a couple $1,000. So if you're gonna do that, you might as well go ahead and get the 800 and get the smaller one, unless you're in a barn or something and you need that extra room to turn around. I would go ahead and get the 800. But I've tried them all. I've tried the Boxer. They're pretty decent machines, but they're not quite made as well. What I like is when the tracks come out and they come back in, you can squeeze into places, but I've had the tracks extend out and fall off. So that's something you really won't want to mess with either. I tried the Avant, that wheel loader machine. Actually, the Avant, the small one that they brought out, which was twice as big as my machine, couldn't lift as much. I actually had more lifting capacity than Avant did. Avants are good if you're on a golf course or you have a lot of room and you can, wide open space and you can pick stuff up and not mess the grass up. But other than that, if I had my choice, I'd always go with the Dingo first. The Avant is something that, like, if you had multiple pieces of equipment and you worked on golf courses or really nice lawns all the time and you couldn't mess up the lawns and you had a lot of room, that's what I would get. But that would be my second or third choice. Actually, what I'm looking for now is a Ditch Witch Zon, which is a very small articulating loader. It picks up like maybe 400 or 500 pounds, but it has like a 36 or less stance, so you can get into those small places and you won't tear up the grass. So you might have to make a bunch of trips, but you can get into the small areas, you can pick up stuff, and you can get out without tearing up the grass. So that would be my only wheel loader I would get for small areas. And if you're starting a business, you don't want to get a big wheel loader, because 9 times out of 10 you're not going to be able to use it unless you're working in huge areas like in the country or something. Where we're working at, we always need that smaller machine. The Toro Dingos, the older ones I liked. There's a few problems with them, but the Toro Dingos, even the newer ones, I think there's a lot of parts and the maintenance is a lot more. So that's why I choose the Ditch Witch. The Vermeer, again, they're more, and all this stuff is more expensive than the Ditch Witch. The Ditch Witch doesn't spend much money on advertising and all this, extra stuff. They spend their money on their machines. That's why their machines are a little bit less expensive and they're built a little bit better. They put more money into the machines. So Vermeer, I tried out. One day I was trying a brand new one out and I had the handle and I was pushing it forward and the whole handle broke off in my hand. It was held on by like one little cheap bolt. So, and also too, you can tell when they make them to break, like after 3 or 4 years. The older Vermeer stuff is good, but the newer Vermeer stuff, I knew a guy that used to work in it. He was the head of the whole department. They used to go to these meetings and these engineers are actually designing stuff to break after a few years. They want everybody to buy stuff every 3 or 4 years. They don't want it to last that long. Ditch Witch stuff is made to last. All this other stuff is made to break in a few years. Once you get it paid off, you're gonna have to buy another one. My Ditch Witch I had the first SK755 turbo. It had over 6,000 hours on it, and we still used it every day. Every single day we'd use that machine. and I sold it, and now this guy, other guy's using it every single day, and I would still keep it, but I wanted to invest some money in Tesla stock, so I went ahead and sold it. He gave me a good price for it, and he's happy with it, so I'm happy, he's happy, and anything he needs, he knows he can always call me because I took really good care of that machine. But if he didn't buy it and talk me and pry it out from under me, and they didn't have 0% financing, I would never have sold that machine. I would have kept it forever. So right now, they're offering 0% financing. I'm just going to quickly go over these other machines. Bobcats you can't fit in the backyard, and if they're a wheel machine, they tear the grass up very bad. Especially if it's a little wet out, you'll get stuck and you'll have a problem. So another one I tried out, let's see, I tried out all the machines. I think I've got most of them listed. The Chinese machines, I'm not sure about. I know they're cheap and you can import them, but I don't know about the parts and the quality. I'm gonna wait probably till they start coming out with a dealer close by or something electric, because I know that's another reason I kind of held off, is because I've seen on these videos that a lot of these companies in Europe, they're going to all electric. So basically there's no maintenance hardly at all. And these things are running for 8 hours. So if you have a big enough battery pack with the battery technology, if these things start switching over to battery, think about it. You're gonna not have any oil changes, not worrying about blowing up motors, overheating, anything. And when you jump off the machine will shut off. The only time the machine will be running is if you're pulling knobs. Because what will happen is that whole engine compartment will be just a small electric motor, and the whole bottom will be a battery, which is awesome because you have even a lower center of gravity, so you won't be able to flip it as easy, and the electric motor can be very close to the bottom. And basically you have a battery pack, an electric motor, and it'll hook up right to the hydraulic pump, and that's it. You won't have hardly anything else. That whole space in there will be available to put, you can put, and it won't get hot like electric or a gas-powered or diesel motor. No fuel, you won't have anything. You can, there's gonna be so much more room and so much more space and such a lower center of gravity, low maintenance. So that's what I'm holding out for. And I know within the next few years, they already have the track hose. I'm sure they've got the machines over there, but they haven't brought them here yet. So that's another reason I was kind of holding off. But since I got the 0%, I'm gonna go ahead and do it. And I'm not gonna buy a SK3000, it's 60,000, SK15 is over 40,000, and the SK800 is about 30, but I'm getting the grapple attachment with it, so it's right around 30. It's actually about 28, but once you add the grapple and everything, but I'm getting it 0%. So you figure if you're paying like $30,000 for this machine and you get it for 48 months, the payments are going to be about $625 a month, as long as you pay it off in 4 years. So take that $625 a month, because basically I took 30,000 divided by 48, you get 625, divided it, and then you divide it in 30 days. So you get about 20 bucks a day, a little over 20 bucks a day. So the guy that bought my machine, he was paying over $400 a month for rentals. So say if you're paying over $400 a month to rent the machine, you only have to use this machine like a day and a half, and it pays for itself. So instead of renting a machine, get it at 0% financing, and then you don't have to pick it up or drop it off or pay all those fees. Plus, if you drop it off or pick it up or they do it, they charge you a fee. So it's $20, a little over 20 bucks a day. Also too, this ditch witch, its rental is $400 a day, and I don't even think that comes with the attachment. So if you get a specialized attachment and build it in your machine, because if you rent one, it's never going to work right, and the lines are going to get cut, and once you get your machine and you set it up the way you want it, it's going to be a lot more proficient at what you're doing. All of our machines we have changed out and made them specifically for what we do. And so when you get a rental, you don't know what you're getting, and it's not going to be as efficient as the one you have. Plus, when you get up or you go to work, it's right there. You load it on the trailer, you go. And a lot of times too, you can leave it on the job site, and that machine will be there when you get back. Also too, this machine, if you have this machine, you can have less employees, because this one machine will turn that guy into an animal. He's like an Incredible Hulk. Think about a guy that can work all day long, 8 hours a day, 10 hours a day, be able to pick up 1,000+ pounds and walk out a gate with it all day long and not complain. That's what this machine does. It turns an average regular person or anybody into a machine. So I got a guy that weighs over 250 pounds. He jumps on that machine, he's like his own counterweight. So if you have a heavier guy that's kind of thick, can do both, it's awesome, because when he gets on that machine, he doesn't need any help. He can jump on that machine and pick up some of the biggest logs. We picked over 1,000, 1,200 pound logs like nothing. So this ditch witch can turn one man into a 3 to 5 man crew, because he can, I tell you what, you get 3 to 5 guys and you put them up to one of my guys on a dingo with a ditch witch that's set up right, I'll run them in the ground. They might be able to get the brush out about as fast or a little faster, but once it gets to those logs, they're gonna wish they had me in my machine. So anyway, that's what that's all about. So if you guys are out there and you have good credit, now's a good time to buy a ditch witch. Don't buy any ditch witch unless you got multiple ones. The first one should always be the SK800. SK800 is going to do 90% of all the work, 95% of all the work, get in the backyards. And right now, if you rent one, it's going to be $400 a day plus. If you buy one, $625 a month. So all you got to do is use that thing 2 times a month and you'll be money ahead. 2 times a month. So get yourself a little mini skid, SK800, and get you a big landscape trailer that can hold it. Another thing is, you can pull with this SK800, you can pull it with a Toyota, you can pull it with a car that has a trailer hitch. As long as that trailer will hold about 3,000 or 4,000 pounds, and you got a car that'll pull about 3,000 or 4,000 pounds, which most cars will do, you can pull this thing with a minivan, you can pull it with a car, you can pull it with a little pickup truck. As long as that trailer will hold it, you can pull it. I recommend getting the biggest landscaper, the biggest, toughest equipment trailer you can, and put that thing on the side. Get you a little tiny stump grinder like I got, the ZT1844, and basically those 2 machines will take up a tiny space on that trailer. So the smaller jobs, you can put the debris on the trailer and you won't need anybody to pick it up. Drop that stuff off at the shop, and then basically you can save money that way as well. If you have a big job, leave it on the site, call a loader truck. But anyway, this is Roger with Roger's Reviews on why you get a mini skid steer. And don't worry, these guys are going to laugh at you when you pull this little mini skid off and you got the little grapple bucket and the guy's on there, and but once you start working and you see that thing running back and forth and you're loading that up in your debris on the trailer, you'll have the last laugh, because you'll have money in the bank and you'll be laughing all the way to the bank, while those other guys are not trying to figure out how to get that material out of the backyard with the Bobcat, not knocking the fence down and tearing up the yard. And also too, you can put little boards down and run across that thing, and you can make it and get people so good at it, when you go across that yard, you won't even mess up the yard. So get the mini skid, and I guarantee you'll be a happy camper. You can stay small and keep it all. So this is Roger with Roger's Reviews. You like this review, crush the like button, get yourself a mini skid right now, 0% financing. Who can you hire for 20 bucks a day? Not many people work for 20 bucks a day. This machine will work all day long and put everybody to shame for 20 bucks. Have a great day.